Okay, hello everyone and welcome. My name's Daniel. I'm from the product marketing team here at Snyk, and I'm here with my colleague from the product management team, Ezra. And we're both super excited to be joined by our special guest, Brendan Putek from Relay Network. The three of us are here today to discuss what is probably one of the biggest shifts in software development history, something that I'm pretty sure most of you are living through on a daily basis, the AI code revolution. Over the next 25 minutes, we're going to walk you through the security challenges that this new AI era presents. Ezra is going to be showing you a new proactive approach to solve them, including a demo of what this looks like with Snyk embedded into these new AI-driven development workflows. And later, we'll be speaking with Brendan about Relay's real-world story. If any questions pop up during the session, please do feel free to pop them into the chat. We'll do our best to answer these right away or at a later point in time. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So it's no secret that the way that we build software has fundamentally changed. As we entered 2025, we knew that AI was going to be a game changer for software development. But what I think we probably underestimated a bit is the depth and the speed of these transformational changes. AI is no longer just a tool. It really is a fundamental part of how we build software. This isn't a future trend anymore. It's today's reality. Recent studies are pointing to a very, very fast pace of adoption among development teams of AI in their development workflows, primarily via specialized AI code assistants or AI-powered workflows within IDEs. And companies are already reporting major impact. You've got enterprises like JP&C, Dell, they're reporting over 50% increases in developer velocity, which really is an unprecedented acceleration in innovation. But as we all know, nothing is free in life, and this revolutionary speed comes with a hidden cost. And that hidden cost is a two-front security challenge that traditional security models are ill-equipped to handle. On the first front, we have the new high-velocity threat of insecure AI-generated code, with recent research showing that nearly half of all AI-generated code is insecure. We've got this massive new attack surface that's being created at a speed that we've really never seen before. And this risk is amplified by the rise of vibe coding and the reality that these AI models are often trained on flawed public data or insecure code. And this new challenge is compounded by the old problem of existing security debt, right? These are our massive backlogs of human-written and now increasingly AI-written vulnerabilities that are already slowing our teams down. And this is a challenge that, if we're honest, we've been dealing with for decades, really, and it's not going away. On the contrary, it's actually getting ignored because everyone's focused on new AI initiatives. And the reality is that traditional security is failing on both fronts. It's simply too slow for the new workflow. It's not smart enough to deal with the old debt. And for years, we've talked about shifting left, and that is still absolutely important, still very much true. But with AI, the very definition of left has shifted, right? Left isn't the developer's first commit. It's not the pull request. It's not even the first file that they've saved in their IDE. The new left in the AI era is actually the developer's first prompt. And that is the earliest possible moment that we can actually try and influence a more secure outcome. So what does a new approach that can solve this actually look like? To walk us through the solution, I'd like to hand things over to my colleague from product management, Ezra.
Thanks, Daniel. My name's Ezra Tanzer, and I'm a member of the product organization at Snyk. The way software is being built is changing, and the way we secure that software must change as well. As Daniel said, shift left historically has helped to prevent security issues from making it to production, and remains incredibly important today, and arguably even more important than ever. Going forward, the volume and pace of AI generated code risk creating bottlenecks at security gates where human review and remediation is required. As a result, we have an opportunity to embed security into the coding assisted workflows to match the pace of AI. Larger organizations, especially, will want to deploy these solutions to all developers who are leveraging these coding assistants to get ahead of these problems. Let's take a look at what Secured Inception looks like. In this view, I have the Secured Inception capability enabled and delegated a code generation task to the LLM. Note that I didn't mention security or Snyk in the prompt at all. The LLM starts by creating the login capability across a front-end HTML file as well as a back-end login.js file. Immediately after the code is written, the LLM invokes the Secured Inception rules to test the code, and here it finds a SQL injection vulnerability. The verbose results of the Snyk security scan are then passed back to the LLM to fix the security issue, in this case by using a parameterized query. The security inception rules then guide the LLM to automatically retest the code to validate that the security issue has been completely resolved. And finally, the agent task is complete and the user is left with secure AI-generated code. Now let me show you a version of this in action. For this demo, I'm going to use Cursor with the Secured Inception capability deployed, but note that this is available in nearly all coding assistants. It doesn't really matter what prompt I give it, but I'm choosing a relatively simple prompt here to generate a palindrome checking function to illustrate the power of this offering in a fairly brief demo. We all know that LLMs are non-deterministic, but I'm betting that the code generated in this instance will not introduce any security issues. But the big thing that we want to see here is that security checks are happening automatically. And sure enough, here we can see that a security scan was executed after this palindrome Python function was written. And wonderful, no vulnerabilities were found. At the end of this presentation, we'll show you how you can try this and more complex examples on your own. Before we return to slides, I'll show you how this can be used to remediate the existing security backlog as well. So in this scenario, I'm going to ask Cursor to run a software composition analysis scan. I could have just as easily chosen execute a SAS scan to find vulnerabilities in first-party code, but for the sake of illustration, we're using SCA right now. And how different companies choose to craft these prompts today may differ, but I'm asking the LLM to consider dependency relationships to inform what package upgrades might get the most bang for our buck. Okay, it looks like we were able to detect 16 vulnerabilities, and the LLM is helping to frame these results in natural language so that I can take action on them. Looks like we've got a few different examples of what we might be able to do. One of the first recommendations here is to upgrade this Multer package from version 1.4.2 to 2.0.1. This involves a major version upgrade, and for today, I'm going to choose not to do this, and we'll look at a hopefully simpler upgrade that we might be able to take advantage of. And so if we look at Express here, we can see that we're upgrading from 4.17.1 to 4.20.0. Minor version upgrade, we shouldn't see breaking changes in this particular upgrade. And so let's give that a shot. I'm going to give this a prompt to say, let's start with Express only. Now we can see that the LLM here is upgrading Express. It looks like it's also going to install the updated version. Fantastic. Finally, we can see that the agent is running another SCA test to validate the security posture improvement. And voila, we have now resolved 6 security issues. And we can choose to ship these changes, or we can continue burning down the backlog in this session. I'll end the demo with this, but as a reminder, the demo that I showed you today not only conveyed how we can use Snyk and agents together to remediate pre-existing security issues, but also to prevent new issues from entering our code base when development tasks are delegated to AI. Let me return to slides now to share a new update as well. For our enterprise customers who want to leverage these benefits, and notably for those who are particularly motivated to secure AI-generated code as they roll out coding assistants broadly, we're now supporting the enterprise distribution of Secured Inception, deploying this capability automatically onto developer machines. This means that security teams don't need to rely on developers taking steps to enable this capability by default, and developers don't need to jump through any hoops. We're currently working with design partners to provide the right level of flexibility and customization for productized enterprise deployments. And if your organization is interested and ready to roll this out at scale, please reach out to us through your account teams. You can also expect more on this in the coming weeks and months from Snyk. In my demo, I illustrated how many of Snyk's customers today are leveraging the underlying tooling to accelerate the remediation of the security backlog. Over time, you can expect Snyk to provide more end-to-end solutions to address remediation, in some cases in collaboration with our partners, and we're excited to hear from a customer who is tackling this challenge today.
Thanks, Ezra. That really was a good example of how a demo is worth 1,000 words or 1,000 slides, if you like. So, as Ezra just mentioned, another key use case that customers are solving today using Snyk within their AI workflows is indeed burning down their existing vulnerability backlog. And I'm delighted to have one of our customers with us here today to share some insight and feedback on the progress that they've been making with this workflow. Brendan, thanks so much for joining. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, to get us started, can you first just tell us a bit about yourself, your role at Relay Network, and the kinds of applications that you and your teams are building?
Yeah, so I'm Brendan Putek, the Director of DevOps here at Relay Network. Relay Network provides a unique and personalized business feed engagement platform for our enterprise class clients to connect with their users and drive successful business outcomes for both sides. Here at Relay, I lead the platform team and I'm responsible for DevOps, SecOps, CloudOps, and the general functioning of our CI/CD and security processing. So, as part of that, we have a real focus on moving at speed while delivering secure, compliant, and quality software for our clients' use cases.
Great, thanks for that context. And it really is something that we hear a lot from our customers, maintaining that balance between the need to move fast and but also, of course, stay secure as they do that. So let's talk a bit about the challenge of security backlogs, right? So before you started this new workflow, what did that backlog feel like for you and your team? Was it just a list of tasks, or was it a real source of friction that was actively, or you felt like was actively slowing down innovation?
Yeah, it's a little of both. We've spent a significant amount of effort on our backlog from when we first initiated our AppSec program to ensure that we maintain zero criticals and high findings throughout our security program in accordance with our compliance needs and contractual SLAs. But some of those lowercase items, right, are enormous. And I imagine like most organizations, when they look at the backlog that we did when we first started and we saw 40,000 items on the backlog that needed to be handled, it's overwhelming. Where do you even start? How do you identify what are the most critical items to tackle? Um, and then how do you get your engineering teams on board? They don't want to do that. It's not a good time for anybody. Um, and that of course then creates that friction as a security organization or any organization in today's world with the state of rate cyber and things like that. Um, it's a real need to focus on AppSec, but you can't do that 100% of the time. Then you're not delivering product and features for your customers, and that's counterproductive.
Yeah, it's again, it's that balance that you need to maintain between security and speed. And again, sadly, 40,000 vulnerabilities in a backlog, you'd be surprised. We hear about that all too often with a lot of our customers. So then you started to experiment with Snyk solutions using MCP server together with your AI tools to address and tackle that backlog. Was there a moment when you look back in time now and you're like, wow, that just clicked. We're onto something here. Can you describe that aha moment, if you like, for us?
Yeah, when Ezra first showed us the MCP server and the capabilities and the idea of secure at inception, what I immediately saw was a force multiplier. right? I can leverage that solution throughout my engineering team to really further shift left, as you discussed at the beginning, but to do it without added overhead on my team. None of the, we're removing a lot of the current process of somebody's got to go look at the issues, right? Then, in Snyk or somewhere else, put them into Jira, get them prioritized, get the teams to deal with that. As we're moving to AI assisted engineering, now that just kind of happens in the background, when we do need to do targeted work, it allows us to do it a lot easier and a lot faster, and it really allows us to have confidence in the solutioning that's going out the door, and that every change, every prompt has been scanned, has been validated, has been verified before it even gets to being committed. And that's an ultimate shift left, right? PR time is obviously after that, so it's a way to even speed up our engineers and ensure the solutioning. I was also really excited by the capabilities of some of that tracking and those instances. Burning down the backlog is great, but as we all know, new findings happen daily, hourly, right? Constantly. And you still have to handle those. And depending on the severity, a lot of times there's rejections. So I'm really excited for the idea of, can I combine this, MCP server in a workflow with other tools, right? Like maybe Atlassian's MCP server, and automate some of that finding and issue creation and injection process for those, right, found vulnerabilities in, close to real time along our systems.
I love it. I love how you mentioned and highlighted confidence, about confidence, getting that trust in findings and so forth. Fantastic insight. So for all the audience here and your peers today who are facing maybe similar challenges, what's the one thing that you would tell them about using Sneak embedded within these AI code assistants?
Yeah, as we all know, AI isn't perfect, right? It's found to make mistakes. It's found to create insecure code. There's constant examples about that we've seen, right? That have led to, right, security incidents or things like that at organizations. To be able to introduce a solution that protects organizations against that as an added guardrail around the generated code for AI assisted engineering, but then also allows them to handle their backlog or new findings or just general upgrades or other things at speed in a way that doesn't detract from, right, their ability to produce and deliver and get functions to market. I mean, that's a game changer for organizations. Backlogs are overwhelming. The friction between security, product, and engineering is real. It impacts quality of life on all sides. So a solution that mitigates that or removes it nearly completely, um, that's phenomenal. It's just a game-changing capability for organizations and their ability to move at speed with today's engineering tools.
A game changer. I love that. Brendan, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Great to have you here.
And thank you again for having me. I love the product. I've started using it in my own personal work. So right, I can't tell people enough about how great it is to have confidence without having to do all of the, currently manual steps.
Thanks, Brendan. Okay, so to quickly recap the three most important things to remember from the session today. First, the two front challenge, right? AI creates new high velocity risks from insecure generated code, while at the same time also compounding the old, slow moving problem of our existing security debt, our existing security backlogs. Second, the solution, as Ezra walked through this, is to secure at inception and at scale. As you saw in Ezra's demo, this means embedding proactive, frictionless security directly into the AI workflow and having the ability to deploy and govern that experience across your entire enterprise. And then finally, and Brendan spoke to this as well, confidence and trust is key, as we heard, and as we build towards perhaps a more autonomous future. Earning development trust with a great, non-disruptive experience is really one of the most critical steps for us. So if you want to get started, it's really simple. Just head on over to the Snyk website using this URL that you see here. Just a few clicks, you'll have Snyk all set up within your preferred AI code assistant or IDE, and you can start securing AI-generated code as we spoke about at Inception. We've also got some additional resources for you if you want to learn more. We've got extensive documentation to help you get set up successfully. And of course, a lot of in-depth articles on the topics that we talked about today. You'll find plenty of reading material as well on the Snyk blog, practical tutorials and examples and walkthroughs on our YouTube channel. And with that, I'd like to thank my co-presenters, Ezra, Brendan, for your contributions today, and to you all, our audience. Thanks for your time. See you next time.